Hello everyone and welcome to my corner of the world. Today I have a fun fold to share with you, and it's a really super easy one that you could use for any occasion, and you can see it will fit into a regular envelope, but when you open it up it has like a stand-up piece. So let me show you from the side. So this bit actually sits up above the level of the card, and it will sit like that on your mantel shelf or wherever it is that you display your birthday cards. Now I again have chosen to use this lovely country, floral, is it called Country Floral Lane decorative paper, and you can see that it has sort of a Valentine theme. Some have got little flowers here with some sneaky hearts, and then there's some that have obviously real heart ones, and then if you look on the back then they're sort of more plain colours, and I particularly like that stripy one, and I'm going to try and find a use for that. Now I decided that I would use this very pretty paper that has got the bicycles on, and since this card is for my oldest granddaughter's birthday, I'm not going to be showing you this until after her birthday. I decided the bicycle one would be a nice theme for a young woman. So, as I often explain to you and encourage you, is to look at the colours in your decorative paper and then choose some to use for your card base and your embellishments. And on this one I've chosen balmy blue, mint macaron, and a tiny little bit of the petal pink on my daisies. And it also gives me an opportunity to use my lovely daisy punch again, which is one of my favorite punches. It's just so dainty, and I love the name Daisy. In fact, it was one of my dog's names. So I'm just gonna punch out 3. I already punched 1. I'm gonna punch out 3, and I'm just using a piece of basic white card, and I'm then gonna punch 2. So I'm just getting the centers of the daisy like this. Now we don't have a circular punch anymore that's small enough, so I'm going to use the center of my daisy to cut out a little center circle. So I'm just got my paper snips, and I'm just going to roughly chop off the bits of petal I don't want. Then I'm going to go in and trim so that I get, as best I can, a little circle to use for my flower middles. So a weeny bit fiddly, but hey, it's worth it. And it's not the most perfect of circle, but then I don't suppose the middle of the daisies are perfect either in nature. Right, so there's one, and here's the other. I'm just gonna trim those big bits off roughly, and then I can then get to the small bits. Right, so just chopping off what's left of the petals like that. And there I've got my little circle. Okay, now I'm going to get some Petal Pink ink, and I'm going to get one of my new mini blending brushes. Let me show you what the large one looks like. There you go. So this is perfect because I'm going to do little tiddy bits, tiny little bits. So I'm going to start off with just doing a little bit of the edges. It's quite difficult to actually see the colour, but when you get close to it, it is very it's obvious, but from a distance it's not so. Right, so there's my middles, and I'm going to take one of my daisies and I'm going to cut it in half, and then I'm going to use a little bit of liquid adhesive on. I'm going to put it on both of them for now, both one of the whole ones and the half one, and I'm going to attach this one there so that the petals are just offset like that. Now there's a tiny bit overhanging front and back, but that will be covered in a moment. So we go back in again with a tiny little bit of our glue, and I'm going to put one of these middles on there. There we go. I'm just going to set that to dry for a second, and then I'm just going to attach these two together. Again, I'm lining up the centers, but I'm offsetting the petals so that they fill the gaps between one another and they look a bit more natural. So you just need to, I'm just sliding it around a little bit on the adhesive there. Just give those a squeeze, and then with my next little bit of glue, I'm just going to stick the center into this one as well. All right, so there's my little daisies. Now to make them pop a little bit, because I'm going to have them on a piece of white card, I'm just going to tip the edges with my brush and a little ink like that, and then I'm going to do the same with this one. I'm just dabbing it on the side of my paper because I don't want a blob of ink. Sometimes if you put it straight on, you get a blob of ink, and it's you can't really blend it in as well. So there's my pretty little daisies, and I'm going to set them to one side. I'm not going to need this paper anymore. Now I've got the messy bit over. Now we can look at assembling the card, and I want to put a stem. Now I looked through my stamp sets and I had this stem from Sending Smiles, so I'm using that stem, and I'm also using this little blossom one inside. So that's how I get my stem, and I'm using mint macaron. That's one of the colors of my card. That's one of the colors on the decorative paper, and I'm just going to stamp on my stem there. Just leave it for a moment for the ink to transfer, and we've got that piece there. Now I'm going to layer this up into, in fact, I'm still looking at this and I think it's over too far. I think I need to make it stood up a little bit. So remember, there's always two pieces to a side of, two sides to a piece of card. So you can always flip it over and do another stamp. There. Yeah, I think I'll be happier with that one. Now I've got my layers, and again I'm pulling all the colours through that are in the paper. So I'm putting, let me make sure I'm using these in the right order. Yes. So I've got Balmy Blue to start with. And I'm just going to smooth my ink and my adhesive in there a little bit. And then I'm going to add the glue to my blue piece. Now I usually put adhesive on the smallest piece that I'm sticking down, and that way I know I'm not going to have adhesive where I don't need it. So I put it on the blue, white, and stuck it to the blue, and now I've put it on the blue and stuck it to the green, like that. So there's my front piece there. So we're going now to use the stems here to put our flowers down. And before I do that, I'm just going to use my bone folder and give these a little bit of a curl. Just to, well, I like to call it just to give them a little bit of life. Just makes them pop a little bit more up from the card. So I'm going to do like that, and I'm not necessarily going to put them right at the end of the little stem. I'm just using that like to as an indicator. And then I'm going to, I think, attach those with dimensionals. I managed to cover them up with my stamp set. All right, so I'm going to pop one about there and attach it. I want to just make sure it doesn't go too high above the top edge, and you'll see why, and I'll explain in a moment. And then I'm going to put another one in the middle of my big daisy, my whole daisy, as opposed to my half daisy. And I'm going to pop this one about here. Oh, there we go. So that's pretty, nice and dainty. It needs a bit of sparkle. Everything needs a bit of sparkle in my book. So I have these. They're called Sparkle and Shine Sequins. And I find that they're really, really useful for putting bling without it having any weight, but also without it having any thickness as well. Right, so I'm going to pop this down, and I'm going to add a tiny little bit of liquid adhesive onto this block, and I'm going to use the pointy end of my pick your tool, and I'm going to add a little adhesive onto the center of my flowers, and then I'm going to just dot some little bits of, or little drops of adhesive around here. And the reason I'm doing that is that I do not want big blobs of of adhesive. I want just enough to be able to stick my little decorative sequins down without there being a flood. Now it will take a few moments for these to dry, but we've got some other things that we'll be doing while it's drying. So there's stars, there's sequins. I like another big one. Is that a big one there? Yep. To put in the middle of this one there. And it looks like I've got a couple more bits of adhesive that I've stuck down. So I'm going to pick up, oh, this one, there's a tiny bead on that one. Ooh, that's pretty. Let's pop that down. Of course, I happen to pick it up by the bottom instead of the top. And I've got, my fingers are a weeny bit sticky as well. See if I can just drop it down in the right place. There we go. And there's a little escapee there. And pop that down like that. There's a little loose one there. And I think I just need, for me, because it's me, I'm just going to put a couple more down. I'm not counting them. I'm just looking for where I've got a little space so that I can fill it. Oh, there was two on top of one another there. All right, so I think that is enough. Just enough to catch the light and give some pretty sparkle. So that's that done. And I need to put that somewhere that I don't get adhesive on everything. So I'm going to pop it to the back on my little shelf there. So that's our front piece done. And so we're just going to finish doing the rest of the assembly now. Ooh, that's pretty. So my piece of cardstock here is 8.5 by 4.25, and it's scored at the halfway mark, so that I've got my piece of card that sort of is like that. So basically it's a square, and then I have a piece of decorative paper that is 4 by 4. And I'm just going to use some adhesive on here. Get that down. There we go. And now what I need to do is I need to attach this to the top of my card. And so to make sure that it fits inside an envelope, I'm going to use an envelope as a gauge, like this. I'm going to pop it there. And it means that I can't put that flower over the edge there. So I've got a little bit of flower sticking up, which is fine. There's no problem there. Right, so now I'm going to put my Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm going to put 2 or 3 along the bottom here. I think I'll put 3. I've got the edges here. Do you use your edges? I always use my edges. They're just as sticky as the rest of your sheet of dimensionals. And then I'm going to put a couple on the top edge here. See, I've got loads of these left. Now, by putting them on the card itself here, I know that when I go to put this on, this is going to be in exactly the right place. I'm not going to have to guess where to put them here, that they would hit the top of my card. So that's why I do it that way. So just get the backing off here. So I'm going to line this up with the bottom of my envelope, and I've just left a tiny gap. You might not be able to see it against the white, but there's a tiny gap. And I'm going to position it so it's in the middle, side to side, and not too close to the top. And I think I'm in a good place there. There we go. That's very, I love this. It's very pretty. I love the fact that the little bicycles are there. Now I'm going to take my envelope, and this is the piece I'm going to put inside my card. And like always, I'm going to just decorate a little bit, not too crazy, on my envelope, like that. And then I can attach this inside with a little bit of adhesive again. Now, I've given you some of the measurements, but not all of the measurements for the pieces of card. But if you look below this video, there will be a link to my blog, and it will take you to exactly the post about this card. You won't have to go hunting around for the post. It will take you exactly there. And there will be what I like to call the recipe on the card, on this card there, as well as a link to my online store where you will be able to purchase the goodies should you wish to make this card. So I've got a nice little birthday greeting, and it's from the Pansy Patch stamp set. It's a lovely one here. And the reason I chose that one is I wanted to use my double oval punch. It's got a plain oval as well as a scalloped oval, and I think it's going to be perfect for my granddaughter. Sufficiently feminine, but not too much. So I've cut a piece out of the blue, and a little bit more adhesive on here, and get this centered up. So I stamp my happy birthday in the mint macaron, so I've got again that color coming through, and some dimensionals. Here we go. Like this. Now I don't want to lose those little bicycles on the card, so I think I'm going to stick this down. The other one I kind of put in the middle there, but that one, I'm kind of going to lose the little bicycle, so I think I'm going to put this one down here. And then we've got this lovely, lovely ribbon. Now this is a variegated ribbon, and it's the balmy blue. And as you can see, it ties the most exquisite bows. The bows are so pretty using this. Stampin' Up have done this ribbon off and on for a while. We've had a peachy one, and we've had a Highland Heather one. And it really is a pretty, pretty ribbon. And so, well, I'm gonna, as it turns out, I'm gonna probably, oh, I know, this time I could put my bow on here. Make it look like it's on that stem. Oh, wow. Oh, well, that was a good idea. So there we are. There's our easy peasy fun fold card. using some of the new papers from the mini catalogue that's out at the moment. This is the beginning of 2023. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you don't already subscribe to my channel, perhaps you'll do that. And if you'd like to leave any comments, I would welcome them and enjoy reading them. So there we are for this video. Thank you for joining me, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.